What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall market. But please note that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Webull link. If you deposit any amounts of money, you're guaranteed 12 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 in total. And deposit $25,000 more, and you're guaranteed 75. This offer ends very soon, in just about 2 weeks. Anyways, looking at Tesla, we're trying to hold above 220, and if we manage to hold this, there could be an attempt to bounce, trying to get closer to like 225. However, if we don't hold above 220, we're at risk of dipping back down towards the lows we saw like yesterday, back down to like 217. Not to mention that 215 support, which is where Tesla's trying to base. So I'll talk more about these levels in just a minute. Today is Wednesday, October 16th. We had some export and import prices, which is not really that significant. Imports are not looking as great, but exports look pretty decent. And the data looks okay overall. At 11:30 a.m., we have the 17-week bill auction, and besides that, there's no other pieces of data. As far as earnings goes, I just want to mention we had ASML, which announced their earnings, and then Morgan Stanley. So starting off with Morgan Stanley, they did relatively well, beating on EPS and revenue. EPS was a beat at $1.88 a share, above expectations, and revenue was at 15.38 billion, above expectations, and they had good guidance. ASML, however, accidentally kind of like leaked their earnings yesterday. So, and basically what happened was they saw a slowdown in their orders. They lost about $50 billion in their market cap, and then on top of that, we also ended up seeing a really, really big shift. We saw their overall guidance not so good, and that's part of the reason why it sold off quite a bit, with semiconductors following the trend. For Tesla, there's been some news about how they're transferring about $770 million worth of Bitcoin holdings. I don't think it's too serious or anything that I'm too worried about. They haven't really done that or touched Bitcoin since like 2022. Um, One thing that's worth mentioning is that they ever since they were looking forward to their Austin, Berlin launches, right? There's a lot of uncertainty about semiconductors. So being able to access cash very quickly was very important to them. But they're basically saying that there aren't many traditional opportunities to do this, and they found in talking to others that they could find a good feedback on particular yields being so low. So they're kind of like trying to diversify that a little bit more without taking additional risks. So that's what they're basically saying so far. So we don't have the specific details, but you can see that they're trying to kind of like allocate this a little bit differently, which is completely fine. I don't think it's like too significant, so nothing that I'm way too worried about. Also, hardware 3 should be coming, so this is going to be a big improvement compared to before. They're diverting between AI4 and hardware 3 and making a lot of improvements for their overall FSD and the robotaxi. I think this is great news. There's very specific details about this, which I'm not going to go over, but I just want to say that this is a great development for Tesla moving forward. So it's very awesome to see these hardwares developing consistently as Tesla's showing commitment to their vision and such. Markets are trying to rebound just a little bit, but we'll have to see if supports hold. ASML once again saw a big dump yesterday, which slowed down semiconductors. But then there's also the news involving Israel that was very intense. So those are multiple factors. But what's helping the market hold up would be the banks, which did relatively well. That's why the banks are, still doing a decent job and still holding this market up. So what do I see for Tesla? Well, honestly, guys, Tesla has been trying to base at 215. If 217 does not hold for Tesla, 219 then 217, I'm going to be looking at 215 next. And if 215 fails, it's looking for a bigger dump. If we try to hold above 220, there could be an attempt to push up for, I would say, 224 to 225. So those are your levels. I think what's going to happen is in the morning, once we open, Tesla's going to attempt to kind of pop a little bit, try to get back up to these highs, 224, 225. Then it might be dipping back down. The market may kind of like slow it down a little bit, but look for a little attempt to bounce in the morning before a little bit of a slowdown, a lot of consolidation as time goes on. I think it could attempt to rebound just temporarily, but I'm not saying the move is going to last because of what we're seeing from different factors. So keep that in mind, guys. Tesla will attempt to rebound temporarily for the 225 area, but the move may not last as Tesla may slow down as time goes on. As far as others go, we also happen to have SPY. It's trying to hold 579. If we lose 579 to 20 EMA, we're looking for a dump back down to about 578. Then all the way down to about 575 will go. If we hold above 579, we could be looking for a rebound for 582. As of right now, we look a little bit more bearish, and there's a risk of us testing that again. So look for a test of 579, and we'll see which way we go from there. We have Nvda attempting to rebound as well. We're looking at 133 as our resistance. However, we'll have to see if we could break past that to get up to 135. It is possible we retest like 134, but we'll see if we reject. If it rejects off 134 to 135, we're going to be dipping back down, especially as we have this gap to fill. So it could kind of like pop to 134 to 135 and then reject and start dipping down to like the 130 area if we get that rejection. But if we manage to get back above 135, then we could turn bullish and start pushing for 137. So hold above 135, we're bullish. If we just hit 135 and reject, we could be dipping. So be careful. So it's going to be a big test on Nvda. For Bitcoin, this is still trying to push up for 68,000, still remains bullish. It still has potential to go all the way up closer to about the 68,500 area and eventually 69,000. So watch and see how things end up going. ES is dipping a little bit. If we reclaim 58.67, we could be pushing back up for the 58.80s. If we don't reclaim 58.68, we could be dipping back down towards 58.50. So watch and see if we get that rejection or not. So far, it looks a little bit weaker, might dip a little bit more. NQ is the same thing. We're kind of rejecting here. If we don't hold above 20,350, we could be dipping all the way down towards 20,200. So be mindful of that. QQQ could be pushing a little higher for 492. If we get back above 492, we could push higher for 494. If you reject off 492, we could be dipping back down to 489. With that being said, that's what I'm seeing for these other factors. Apple's looking a little bit weaker, though. We need to get back above 235. If we don't do that, we're at risk of dipping all the way down to about 232 and eventually 230.97 can be tested. So might see a small dip on Apple. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, that is pretty much it for my video, guys. I have to cut this one short because I'm running out of time. Please have a great day and watch your levels very, very closely. As far as Tesla goes, look for a little pop in the morning. I'm going to try to push a little higher to about 224 to 225 before it starts dipping back down to about 220. So look for a pop and drop like move. But whether or not we hold these levels depends on many different factors. Actually, I'll just go over a few more just real quick. The IWM is trying to push for 225. If we hold above 225, we're looking for much higher levels. If we don't hold above that, our target's going to be back down towards 223. As of right now, this is looking a little bit more bullish than the markets. Amazon could be retesting 187.1 flat before it tries to rebound. So look for a small dip on Amazon. Meta may try to dip a little bit to about 582. So look for 582.13. If not 580, and we'll see if you rebound off those levels. But look for a small dip. Microsoft may also dip towards support at 415. And then Google may also dip towards 165. So that's it, guys. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure you watch your levels very, very closely, and I'll be back in a couple of hours to give you guys another update. All right, so have a great day. Don't forget the market may attempt to rebound a bit, but it depends on if it could hold above support or not. And I think the most important time frame is the 4 hours. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of hours. I would say the next 4 hours are very important if we hold support or not, and then we'll see how it goes. All right, thank you, and peace out.